So, do you have some idea of what we're going to talk about today? I know that Bonnie put out kind of an advertisement about it. But the reason she wanted me to come and speak to you is that, and you have to help me with this, but I think that all of you are inventors. You've got some great ideas. You've got already a product launched. Is that correct? On the launch pad. And then what Bonnie told me was that I get this great idea and I want to tell the world so that people want to talk about it, but I don't know how to do that. Would that be fair to say? Can you add anything to that I need to think about? Pretty much it. So what I want to do today, my goal for today, is we're going to do something completely different than what you may have done in the past. And what Roger was saying is that I have practiced the art of building relationships for 3 decades. And what I want to share with you today is what I learned 3 decades ago. And I still use it to this day. Okay? In fact, flying home yesterday from California, I used it on the airplane. And I'll tell you more about that later. But it isn't just a business tool, it's a life tool. So what you're going to see up here for slides, you're going to see a lot of verbiage, and then the verbiage is going to be very condensed. And I don't want you to write everything that goes on the screen, because I'm going to pass out some paper. But what I want you to think about is I want you to think about the people in your life, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your relatives, your coworkers, the people at the store, the people wherever you hang out, the gym. Think of all the people in your life. I want you to think about them. And then if you have a piece of paper, like Roberto has, we're going to make 4 boxes. Okay? And the piece of paper is going to look like this. You can't read what's on here, but I'm going to give it to you. This is personality number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to learn 4 different personalities. Okay? How does that sound? Okay. So as we go through this, I guess it's very simple that, do you feel, as I feel, that relationships are really important? Do you feel they're going to help you succeed, regardless of what you're doing? Okay. So, have you ever sat down next to somebody or walked into a room of people and you immediately judge the first person you speak to? Why do you do that? It's human nature. And sometimes we do that all the time. And so then the questions become, how do you handle these people? How do you identify these people? And today, as this sentence is down here, I'm going to give you this tool about how to understand personalities. And I think, because I look around the room, we're all about the same age. Within maybe, 5 or 10 years. And I think what you'll see when I bring out the personalities will be a concept that you'll be able to identify with. All right, now the agenda seems long, but don't worry about it. It's a personality profiling model. Have you ever heard of DISC, Myers-Briggs, or colors? You've heard of Myers-Briggs? Okay. Okay, so this is similar, but very different, and I think it might be easier to remember. Do you remember all the Myers-Briggs stuff? Roberto does. He's an engineer. He's a patent attorney. He remembers all that stuff. I don't remember all that stuff. But we're going to do something similar to that. You'll meet 4 distinct personalities, but we're going to do 3 things. Okay? So the first thing is, when you walk in and meet somebody, you sit down. I sat down next to this guy on the airplane. You're going to see what first impressions are all about. So you have first impressions. Then it's going to tell you the characteristics. Then I'm going to tell you what's the best way to handle this person so you develop a relationship. Quicker, sooner, better, deeper. Okay? It's pretty simple, right? Oh, Mike. Oh, yeah. So I'd like you guys to volunteer, bring up some stories. This is not a lecture, but at the end of the day, I want to increase your R factor. Do you know what R factor is? It's your relationship factor. We're not making friends or acquaintances. We're developing relationships with people who are going to help us with our business, with our invention, with helping us succeed. That's our goal. How are we doing?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll have questions and discussion. So I want to make sure you understand there's no right or wrong answers. People are different. We're not here to make fun of people, but you might think that, but there's no personal vendetta there. And then I want you to participate. But here, you see this down here, that piece of paper? I'm going to pass this around, and you're going to keep it. You're not going to write on it, but what is your assignment during our talk? What are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be thinking of all the people that are going to be in this box. Okay? All right. So, I'm working in this restaurant, okay, in college. And these two businessmen are sitting there, and it's time for dessert, and I walk up to them, and they want the dessert special. And so I launch into my special dessert, unbelievably gifted, crafted dessert special. And I'm just going into this huge description, and the guy over here stops me right in the middle. He says, "You know what? You're really good. I bet you could sell copy machines." I had no desire to do that. But he came back 3 more times. I ended up going to downtown Denver and selling copy machines, straight commission, in 1982. And I must tell you that I was horrible. Okay? It was the worst job I've ever had, and I had to gut it out for 3 years. But during the 3 years, guess what they taught me? They taught me what you were going to learn today. And it totally changed my life, not as a salesperson, but as a leader, as a manager, as a father, as an executive. It helped me in all those areas. So that's where this is coming from. Okay? Not just some waiter selling a dessert in a restaurant. Okay. So it's a life tool, not a sales tool. We'll look at the 4 different personalities, how they relate, differ. But you got to practice this stuff. And I've been practicing for quite a long time. So it went from here to here. Are you ready? First personality, upper left-hand corner. I'm going to pass these around because I don't want you to write. You're going to have all the information. But the first thing, when you see somebody, have you ever met anybody that is really very intense? Kate? Yes? Anybody else? And I mean, first impression, you walk in and someone's sitting there and they're really intense. You can kind of notice it, right? Okay. They're standing like this. Arms across. No emotion. And they don't look you in the eye. excited about being with that person? Are you? No. You going to have lunch with that person? No. Because they're not much for conversation. So remember, this person is very difficult. We're going to start with this person first. So, those were the first impressions. Now we go to characteristics. And tell me if this is true or not. They always have to be right. They always seem to want to interrupt and have their opinion. Do you feel that's the case sometimes? They always say they have all the information. I don't need anything else. They will not consult with other people. They need to feel superior. They're not emotionally involved, and they love to dominate meetings and relationships. Again, is this someone that you're going to want to hang out with? Roger? Does this sound like fun?
No, but luckily, this is a small percentage of people. My experience.
It's true. It's a small percentage, but they're out there. So then, here's how we handle it. I put it on your notes there. You can't be, and I'm talking to salespeople or people that want to get a conversation started, they've got to be careful about how much they talk and what they talk about. They've got to be all business. They got to deliver the facts. They got to listen really well and talk less. And then, good luck trying to find some common ground. And they try for direct eye contact. They choose your words carefully, and you've got to be organized. Now, what would be some examples of that in the world today? People who are like that. Examples. How about a physician, a doctor? They're kind of like that, right? I've got all the information. I know what's right for you. I'm not going to converse here. I'm too busy for that. I don't have time to go to lunch and listen to all this other stuff. I'm too busy. I'm too this, I'm too that. Or how about policemen? They're not very nice sometimes. That's probably a bad metaphor at this day and time because we've had a bad rap. But I'm just thinking about people. How about accountants or Roberto? No offense. But sometimes these corporate lawyers are just insufferable with some of the things they do. Military leaders. You ever see them getting interviewed? They're not going to show any emotion at all, regardless of how torn up inside they are. Now, are you thinking of people that you know in the world that are like this? Write their names down. But here are some other examples. Do any of those pictures look familiar to you? Do you know who that is? That's Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle. Do you know who that is? Very good. Does everyone know who Leona Hemsley is? She's the witch of Manhattan. Okay? You definitely know who that is. Janet Reno, Hillary Clinton, and then this guy. Do you remember him? Spock. And that's the name that resonates with me. If I go out and meet somebody and they are not nice, they are controlling, they're dominating, they're insufferable because they have all this information, I immediately say, oh, we got Spock. We got to deal with Spock. And if you're in a position of leadership, or you have to manage a group of people, how valuable would it be if your sales reps told you, before you even go into a meeting, you've got 2 Spocks that you've got to deal with. I already know exactly who's going to be in that meeting. Now, how valuable would that be? Pretty valuable. So, remember, Spock was always no emotion. He always had the right answer. He never laughed. He never smiled. He never cried. Right? Pretty much. One episode. Okay. So, that's personality number one. Does that make sense? Anything else to add? Do you ever run into people like that? What's that? All the time. And then so what do? Do you want to chum up to them and try to have a conversation with them? And try to get them to laugh and tell them jokes? Or do you just kind of back away?
They kind of seem like they want to be left alone.
That's right. They do. So if you leave them alone, you're doing the right thing. If you are not talking too much, you're doing the right thing. However, the key thing up there that is on my notes is if you listen really well when they speak, you might hear something that you could connect on and have some common ground. And that is a great way to break the ice. Golf, fishing, my grandson, my new room addition, whatever it is, if you listen really well, you'll do yourself a favor with someone like that. Okay? So that's one. How about number two? Don't be cheating now. Come on. This person here, okay, upper left-hand corner was number one. Now we're going to the right-hand, upper-hand corner. Number two, this person is intense, but he's not, or she's not, very intense. There's a difference. You'll see why. They're not going to stand here like this. They're going to stand more open. Okay? So they're more approachable. They do have a little emotion. They always have strong eye contact, these people. They always want to look you in the eye. Belly button to belly button. They like to move around a bit. They're more confident than they are cocky, but they're very focused. Okay? So this person seems to be similar to the Spock. Would you agree with that? Kinda? But a little different. Do you see the differences? A little bit more of an opportunity. They'll be more receptive at a cocktail party. Okay? They might really want to know about your invention. Think about that. They want to get more information. So here's some characteristics. They want to be right, but that right there, they want more information. In other words, they're going to ask you questions. And if people are asking you questions about your invention, that's a good thing, right? Yeah, that's what you want. They'll console a couple other people. They usually have their own company or their own interests at heart. They always associate with quality people. My work here is done. They want to associate with you. They allow some trust. They deal well with the facts, and they're looking for partnerships. Partnerships is the key. You want to be a partner. Versus a Spock, what did Spock want to do? Control, demand, I'm in charge, I don't want to listen to you. This person, tell me more. Let me talk to John. Let me bring in Evelyn over here. We'll have a little meeting. We might want to have you come back and talk to us some more. I really like what you have to say, but I'm not too sure. What's your name again? Roberto. You have a business card? That type of thing. Not too much emotion, but a little bit. Do you know those type of people? They're different than the Spock, right? So how do you handle them? You're going to be business, but you're going to be social. You're going to talk about the facts. Oh, and then they always like the benefits and suggestions. They look for common ground and build rapport. Please don't waste their time. And then, they're not dancing, but they're moving some more. Then the Spock, who was in the corner, all wrapped up in himself and his ego. Okay? So, a couple of examples. Your boss, executives, principals, politicians. But these were some of the pictures that I picked for people that have these types of traits. And one of my favorites is Condoleezza. She is, in that picture, she is as sweet and as nice as she could ever be. But she is tough as nails at the negotiating table. Sigourney Weaver and Jodie Foster, two great actresses who in their roles are very independent, very gifted, but they're also very strong, and they're also surrounding themselves with quality people. How about this guy? James Bond. That guy surrounds himself with quality people, gets the job done, always looks for more information. But here's my favorite. Clint. Right? You don't mess with Clint. You keep it short and sweet. He's going to listen to you. Right? He'll probably gather some folks to help him make a decision, but a Clint is always, in my mind, one of the best business people to work with, because they include people, they want to do what's best for them and the company, and they make a decision, and they move on. And if you're a partner, guess what? He's going to be loyal forever. Different than the Spock. Do you agree? And later on, we'll do another exercise. But I want to make sure that the differences between the Spocks and the Clints are, does that make sense? Donna? Make sense? Does? Any examples, any other examples of people that you can think of in the world of entertainment or in your family? Do you have people in your family that, like, either grandfathers or other grandmothers or people that have these types of traits? Okay? All right, you ready? So that's number 2, upper right-hand corner. Now we go to the lower left-hand corner. And this is a tough one. Because this person is really shy. They don't want to talk to you. They're very introverted. They're very closed. They don't have any emotion. They have very poor eye contact because they're afraid. They're fidgety when they sit. They kind of move things like this and move stuff around. They seem a little bit uneasy. They're distracted. And then they seem overwhelmed because they have so many things going on. Have you ever met someone like this? I think we all have, whether it's in business or in life. So that's the first impression. But the characteristics are, they're really uneasy about making a decision or about being involved in something. It really troubles them because they may not be confident about what they're going to decide. So they want all of this information, because if they keep gathering information, then they don't have to make a decision. And they'll just keep gathering. Thank God I can get more stuff because I don't have to do anything. I don't have to make a decision. Because they're afraid to, and then they want to get more people involved, and that takes more time. They're going to look for suggestions, They're not very trusting. I like to call it maybe holding their hand a little bit, and they're looking for help to make their life and their choices easier. Do those characteristics make sense for that type of person? So, how do you handle them? What do you do to help them get to someplace? You gotta be specific. You've got to be detailed. And you can't be like me. You can't be talking loud to them and getting real close to them. You can't be a space invader. You ever meet someone like that? It just kind of walks up to you, and they're just kind of like too close. You can't do that with this person because you're going to scare the heck out. So now you're being very comforting. You're being very nurturing. It's like you have to change your entire behavior to try to win some kind of relationship. I like this, offering other suggestions. Last week I met someone who had the same situation as you. And instead of go, well, what did they do? And now you have an opportunity to share something, to give them a little bit of confidence. Tell them a story. It works great. Oh, and you have to figure out that your voice has to be soft. Because you know what they do then? Like the lady on the airplane. She leans in. Because I've softened my voice. Builds the relationship. Of course, you got to review. And don't give them too many options, because then they won't make a decision. Right? So some examples might be a scientist, someone who stays in a lab all day, a grocery clerk. Have you ever been to the grocery store and you got some people that won't say a word as they scan your stuff? And then you get the next person, usually an older baby boomer. Hey, what's going on? How you been? They won't shut up. So you got to think about, where do those people go into the personality? Because you try to pick them out, right? I do that all the time. At restaurants, oh my God, restaurants are the best. Because the hostess who seats you is always very prim and proper. Right this way. Follow me. And then the waiter or waitress comes up. How y'all doing today? What can I get for you? She's like outgoing. You just see all these different personalities working in one establishment. And if you've got your notes with you, you're going to make all these relationships. It's going to be awesome. You have your invention with you. Wherever you go, take your invention. And then, of course, the librarian. Have you ever met or been with a librarian who's like so exciting to be with, you can't stand, but stay there forever? So here are some possible examples that I've referred to. Do any of those look familiar? You remember him? Yeah. Little Radar O'Reilly, little shy and meek little Radar, although he could always hear the helicopters coming. But he's a perfect Radar, And sometimes when you walk into a company, you'll find the little Radar O'Reillys everywhere, because they're very valuable. And you got to treat them as such. And of course, Charlie Brown. And then, of course, Beaver Cleaver, right? He was kind of a shy, meek guy. And then there, of course, is our wonderful librarian, Mrs. Schultz, from my elementary school. And then, of course, Bob Newhart. You remember Bob? Yeah. So I stick with Bob. If I meet a Bob, I know we're in for a long journey. Okay? That's a Bob. So now, we've got 3 done. First one, intense, very intense, non-emotional, arms crossed, Spock. Number 2, kind of intense, but more outgoing, good business person, makes decisions, wants partnerships. Clint Eastwood. Number 3, shy, introverted. Oh my God, I'm scared to death. What am I going to do? Give me all the information. I'll be your friend forever, as long as I don't have to do anything. And that's Bob. Okay? One more. How are we doing? Does this make any sense? Is this kind of helping? It's different than the disc and the Myers-Briggs, isn't it? Now, if you turn on a TV today, you're going to find shows like The Big Bang Theory or NCIS or any of those shows. Look for actors and characters in those shows that fit these personality types. If you have your list there, I've been doing that because when I give this talk to younger audiences, they have no idea who these people are. They don't. So I got to pick out today's TV shows or cartoon characters so they go, oh, yeah. I'm talking about the millennials because they're going to take over the world. But this is for us. All right, so there's one more. This is the lower right-hand corner on your sheet. And the first impression for this person is delightfully intense. Good energy. They're very open, they're emotional, they've got strong eye contact, they're enthusiastic, they walk around a lot, they talk really loud, they want to be your best friend. Does that remind you of anybody? Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. You got me pegged. I'm friendly, confident, talks a lot, warm responses. That's the first impression. And sure enough, I sat down to a couple from Tampa Bay, Florida, on the airplane. And I was talking about the Blackhawks hockey team. And they're the Lightning. And we sat down in our seats, the three of us, and it was instant relationship. They were the greatest people. Talked about hockey, but we talked about everything. Learned about their families, their sons. We just talked the whole way there, and it was awesome. But I knew, when I sat down, that they were these type of people. So, we like to be liked, want to be liked. We want to have more input, more people. We want to please everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on over here. Let's meet everybody. Come on, get together. We love to have parties. That type of thing. Do you know anyone like that? Yeah. They base their decisions upon emotions versus facts. They're always trusting, and they associate with positive people. And they're always looking for friends and associates to help them. But if you want to work with them, be outgoing, be excited, be engaged. Is that easy for you guys to do? When you got your invention, and you're at the farmer's market and you meet somebody, right? Or you have a table there and you're doing, like, you ever go to a trade show and you're trying to stop people from walking by and you want to talk to them and bring them in and show them all your stuff? Right? You can connect if you can find out how to do that. When you walk into an office, and I never drank coffee. Never drank coffee. But what would I always ask for? A cup of coffee. And I would sit it on the table, and I would never drink it, but it just bought me another 15 to 20 minutes with Mr. Clint Eastwood or Dr. Spock. It buys you time. Talk about their interests, sit close to them, not too close, but be excited, ask to be introduced, compliment their surroundings. And so some examples: comedians, salespeople, the food servers, like I said, are great, and then receptionists. Some receptionists that you meet in big companies, they are like a Spock. You know, what are you doing here? They can smell me coming up the elevator. And so before I even walk in the door, she is already getting me escorted out. She's pushed the button and the security guys are pushing us out the door. Whereas other receptionists, when they have their name tag over here, and I kind of look at it and then I address her, by name, and she's so excited. She'll get up out of her chair, walk back into the admin area and find the person I need to speak to. Thank you. Stuff like that. It's so awesome. And aerobic instructors, do they kind of drive you nuts? Sometimes? Fitness instructors? Because they're always, always happy and full of life and doing all that stuff, right? Well, there's one right there. Remember him? Yeah. And there's Rosie and Robin and Ellen. Oh, yeah, and then there's yours truly. That was right after. That picture was taken right after a 478-foot bungee jump in New Zealand. But these are the people that have those characteristics in personality number 4. So, the person that I connect with the most is Ellen. She's just so effervescent and so easy to approach. It just seems that way. I don't know what she's like in real person. I've never met her, but she seems to have that. And when you see her, well, I'm not at home watching television at 3 in the afternoon. But that's the impression I get from the people that like her, that work with her. Okay. So, those are the 4. Do they make sense? Does this piece of paper help you? Having all of that on there, it's a lot of words. And I tried to organize it, but that's the best way to learn this and then practice it. But here's the next step. What if you meet someone and they look like a Spock? Okay? They're like this at the dinner table or at the party, but then when they talk, they're a little bit like him, Clint. So, Mike, what do you do? Whoa, he's talking to me. He wants to know what I do. And then, as time goes on, he starts to get really talkative and really has his friends come. And they have all these great things happening, and he almost has this type of personality. That's what we call Mr. or Mrs. kind of all over the board. And you never know what you might get, but those people are out there. And so what I do is I try to move a little bit from here up to here, try to get a little bit of Clint in me, even though I have a lot of this in me. But you'll notice that Spock and Ellen are completely opposite, just like Clint and the librarian. They're just not going to mix. Just not. And you can see why when you look at the characteristics. So, and I said this a little bit earlier, the most help that it did for me was when I had 12 sales reps, and we had to go out and sell in the community, in the business community, and I would like to ride with them, and on the way there, they had to tell me all the personalities that we would be meeting in that company. That was their homework. And if they did that well, the appointments went really well. And I know you guys aren't salespeople, but that was the beauty of teaching them this model versus some of the other models that you may have seen. So, questions? Comments? Anybody?
Do any of you guys have a situation where you want help on what kind of personality is that? Someone you work with now or have in the
You need to be a comedian?
Chameleon.
Oh, chameleon.
Yes.
But you're right, Mike. But some people, they're not thinking about that. They just meet someone and they just launch into whatever it is because they're not understanding their body language. They're not understanding how they have like no eye contact. They're not understanding a lot of things. And so the illustrations here are to try to help you be that chameleon. And again, the best way to do it is to practice. So when you go home and you with your spouse or friends, whatever, have this conversation. Hey, you see that guy over there? You know what he's like? He's kind of like a Clint. And they're going to go, what? What are you talking about? Right? And then you can practice and tell them why you feel they are that type of personality. Okay. So that's my personality profiling. Any other type of questions?
A lot of these, like Myers-Briggs and the color thing, they want you to decide what kind you are first, and then and then they tell you how this kind of person interacts with this kind of person. And,
So, do all of you know where you would lie? A little bit?
yes.
Roberto! So what personality would you fit into?
I believe mostly in number 2.
Number 2.
Yes.
I would agree. Okay. Mike?
Probably more than the shy side.
Okay. Donna?
Probably from more than one quadrant.
You've got a couple. Okay. Do you want to share?
Well, maybe the quadrant 2. Well, can you be from in more than one or 2?
You can be all over the board. But that's difficult.
Yeah.
That's really difficult. Because there's these people here who know they want to try to get over here. And then some of these people, like me, okay, I need to not be so, running around being all enthusiastic. I need to be a little bit more up here, a little bit more focused, driven. But I'm still going to have this. I don't think I'd ever get over there. But it's okay to be in a couple. That's good. Kate,
Yes.
where would you lie? What do you think?
Probably
Clint?
Clint.
Yep.
Clintess.
Clintess. Okay. Michael?
Well, I'm looking at this, I'm a little shy, but probably more of the fourth one.
Okay. So you're outgoing and shy. And that's funny because
Whoever who's out and with.
because we will change our chameleon colors depending on where we go. Right? So if I'm at my nephew's graduation party, Shazam. There I am. However, if I go to a corporate meeting with all of these high executives, I'm going to be moving into this direction and really being more focused, less talk, more listening, very serious. Because I don't know them. I'm going to change the way I act. Jeff.
I definitely hop around Alpha. So like with my family, I'm Spock. In client meetings, I'm Clint. With very close friends, I'm Ellen. But then when I go to networking functions, I'm the librarian.
Makes sense. That's great, because when I was a father, I'm still a father. But I was like him until they were a certain age. And then I came a little bit down here, but I don't know. I was kind of, as a father, then as a business person, then as a friend, I did kind of like what you did a long time ago. Yeah. Good. Okay. That's all I got.
Okay, so, let's take like a 10-minute break and enjoy a good drink. The restrooms are to the exit sign here to the left. And we'll get back together for, general questions.
Thank you very much.